What's up, y'all? Terry Warfield. Yo, I'm using right now the Sony ZV-1 to film this video. I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard about this camera, I was like, nah, that ain't it, player. And then I thought about it. When I reviewed the RX100 Mark VII, like, when was that, like 7 or 8 months ago? One thing that I remember when I had that camera was how small it was and how amazing it was to be able to pull out a small camera out of my backpack and vlog and still get good quality and stuff like that. So I didn't have to pull out my Sony a7 III and whatever lens I want to put on there to do my vlog stuff. So after I went back and thought about that, I'm like, you know what, bro, this might be the camera, because if it does what they say it does, it solves a very specific problem for me. Let me be honest, Sony did send me this camera to test out. However, they did not ask me to positively review it or anything like that. I spent like a week with this camera so far, and my opinion has totally changed. I freaking love this camera, and to be honest, it's kind of hard to argue with what the ZV-1 brings to the table, because it's not promising to be this all-around great photo camera and video camera. No, the promise for this camera is it is a vlogger's camera. It is for people who want to do YouTube and TikTok and Instagram videos, but they don't want to carry around a camera. They just want something that makes life easy, and this gets the job done. So right now, I am looking at myself on the flip out screen. You heard that right, the flip out screen on the side, and currently it is tracking my eye. Also, there is a recording light right there that lets me know I'm recording, because there's been so many times where I've thought I was recording and I wasn't recording. That is extra handy. And we're at 24 millimeters in defocus mode, which is a little button on the top of it that basically forces the aperture f1.8 so you can get some depth of field, which is what I did not like about the RX100 Mark VII. I did not like the 24 to 200 f2.8 to f4.5 because there was no way you could get depth of field unless you wanted to get like at 200 millimeters at 4.5, which is just not practical. With this, I'm at 24 millimeters, defocus mode, f1.8, shutters at 1/125th, and if it was too bright outside, there's a built-in ND filter that it will automatically apply. I gotta keep going because there's more. Now, there is a 3-capsule directional mic built into the ZV-1. However, I'm using my Rode Wireless Mic Go. Even though the built-in mic is decent, the quality out of this is still better than the one that's in the camera. Whew, my shoulder is getting tired, even though this is a small, lightweight setup. Now, let's go back to the 24 millimeter thing, right? Because a lot of y'all complain about, oh, 24 millimeters isn't wide enough for vlogging. Well, me personally, I don't mind 24 millimeters. I mean, look, you can still see all around me. Could it be wider? I mean, sure, but we got to keep the camera small. Y'all kept asking Sony to give us the 24 to 70 f1.8 to f2.8 from the RX100 Mark V, and they did it. We complained about the screen flipping up. They flipped it to the side. They did it. So anyways, to get back to, is 24 millimeters wide enough? Well, here you go. Now, a mistake a lot of reviewers have been making is not taking the steady shot off of, what was that noise? They weren't taking the steady shot off of active. When you are in active and it's doing optical plus electronic stabilization, it's gonna punch in some more. So if I had on active right now, it would look like this instead of like this. Now, you could solve that issue by getting like a selfie stick or something like that, because it'll work. I'm using a little Sony wireless Bluetooth remote grip right now, so you know, I'm able to kind of stick it out here. This is my arm fully extended, but even right here, I don't think 24 millimeter, I don't think that looked bad. What y'all think? Well, anyways, I'm filming in 4K, right? So it's kind of crazy that a camera this small have 4K built into them, 24 frames per second. How y'all doing? 30 frames per second. You get 1080p up to 120 frames per second, and you still get 240 frames per second and up to 960 frames per second. However, that is only at 480p up to like 4-second burst or something like that. But still, you get all of these amazing frame rates in the camera in addition to picture profiles. So you still get like your HLG, your S-Log, you get all of that stuff built into the camera. I really think it is difficult to argue what this camera brings to the table. It gives you so much value for only $750. Now, not only do we get all of those great video specs, you still get the same 20 frames per second that you get with the RX100 Mark 7. You can still take photos, even though this wouldn't be a photo camera for me. I would absolutely pull out my A7 III if I wanted to take a photo. It was the same deal with the RX100 Mark 7. I wasn't interested in that camera for photos, only for video, but you can still take photos. It does not have a pop-up flash. However, it still has a hot shoe up there that you can mount microphones to. You can use external flashes, so you can mount an external flash to it. And it does not have the built-in pop-up viewfinder that the RX100 series cameras have, or the little dial on the front to control like the focus and the aperture. Now there are some intelligent features, right? We talked about the defocus mode already. The second thing it has is a product mode, to where typically the camera, especially a Sony camera, it prioritizes your face when it comes to autofocus. Well, the problem when you try to review something that you want to put in front of the camera like this is it still tries to pick your face out of that, even with something in the way. So it's a quick button on the back of the camera. You press it and it automatically turns off face tracking, eye tracking, so that your product shots are easier. In addition, it's got beauty modes and all that, which I would never use that. I don't really care about my face being smooth and all of that crap. But for the ladies, I mean, it could be useful, right? All right, so I'm about to show you what this beauty mode looks like, even though I would never use this. Right now it's off. This is beauty mode set to low. Soft skin effect, my bad. This is set to mid. And this is set to high. Yeah, I don't like that. Low, mid, high, off. I would never use this. The other thing I really love about this camera that's suited for vlogging is the metering is weighted on your face. So Terry, what the hell does that mean? All right, so cameras have to read the scene, right, to try to balance exposure. And typically on a camera, you can kind of pick whether you want it to be center weighted. So if it tries to balance exposure for the middle of the picture, or you can have a meter for the entire frame, which tries to make the exposure as balanced as possible for the entire frame, or something like the ZV-1. It meters for your face. So what that means is the camera is always trying to, no matter what the lighting situation is around, it's always trying to make sure your face is well lit so everybody can see it. No matter if it's a bright day or if it's dark at night, it tries to make sure that your face is lit the best. I really think it's hard to argue with this camera. I'm gonna be honest. One could argue that $750 is still a tad expensive considering you get micro USB. I mean, come on, Sony, micro USB, really? And I still can't like manipulate the touchscreen, which I don't understand. Like, I mean, Sony has done a great job with giving us all the stuff we want, but those two small things, if you fix that, this camera will be perfect. Just if y'all listening, Sony. But like I said, I really think it's hard to argue with what this camera brings to the table. Every single thing Sony has promised with this camera, it's living up to it. It's doing exactly what it's designed for. No, it's not an amazing photography camera. It could be in the right circumstances, but that's not where they marketed this camera towards. This is meant for content creators, for vloggers. The only reason why I may not recommend this camera, if this is gonna be your only camera, you may want to consider twice, because this is a closed ecosystem. What that means is, let's just say a year down the line, you wanted to get like into bird photography, right? Well, something like a A6100, if you want to stick with Sony, like a Canon M50, are still small cameras that don't cost a lot, but you can change the lens to get the look that you're going for. With this camera right here, what you see is what you get. And if you get sick of that and you want to change it, then you just out of luck. You can't do anything about it because it's a fixed lens, a fixed ecosystem. So that's the only thing I want to challenge you before making the purchase. If you think that maybe your needs might change in the next year, year and a half, maybe something like a Sony A6100, even though it doesn't have stabilization and a few of these smart features, it's still like it gives you the ability to expand and grow with the camera, whereas this doesn't. But if you know that with this camera, the only thing you're gonna be doing is TikTok, vlogging, YouTube, Instagram, and you will not have any plans of upgrading, then this is a very compelling purchase. The other reason you may wanna buy this camera is if you already have a main camera, like a Sony A7 III or a Canon EOS R or something like that, and you don't wanna pull out your $3,000 setup just to do vlogging stuff, this is a perfect little camera with a few flaws, but as a whole, you can't beat, you really can't beat this freaking camera, man. So let me know what y'all think about the Sony ZV-1. I gotta be honest, when I send this bad boy back to Sony, I will be copping one for myself. How you feel about the Sony ZV-1? You think you're getting one after this video, or you considering one? Let me know what you think. That's all I got for you. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. I forgot to say that in the video, but do that right now. But that's all I got. Terry Warfield, piece of chicken grease, I'm out. Peace.